Good morning, everybody. Oh, I have to mention that I'm live. Let's do that. Oops. Okay. Neat. So, I'm going to start over. God damn it. Good morning, everybody. Okay, yeah. I am usually more prepared than this. Let's go. Good morning, everybody, or afternoon at this point. Welcome to today's live stream. Let's talk about this recent Bitcoin move and define our pivot of support. Since the 4-hour chart did have a pretty excessive move to the upside, which did cause some pretty significant overexpansion. However, we will be able to define the pivot, and I'm going to do that manually because there's a small amount of volatility overhead on the 140 period when our lock is actually just the 100. So I am going to manually load the 100 period band. All right, it's going to be this purple band here. All right, so that's really clean. So Bitcoin is sitting directly on the pivot for trend. And that is significant because this is the exact make or break point for Bitcoin. If we fall below this support, we will enter a longer compressionary period of mean reversion. I'll be swapping my longs for shorts. And it's very likely we will just either compress or see full mean reversion to the downside. Whereas if we actually do get a bounce off of this pivot here, it's going to be a very good signal to catch the swing high, or excuse me, swing low, and turn it into a longer term long position. Since a bounce from this pivot right here, right now, this very second, would be the scenario for trend continuation. Okay? And that is significant, right? Because if we zoom out, the scenario for trend continuation is a long-term breakout from trend. All right? Because the last time we saw this kind of upward movement was here. And in this scenario, we immediately activated the mean reversion condition, which resulted in a sideways move, and then it swapped to bearish trend. So now we have a different signal. Why? It has to do with the wave PM. So every time you have every value below 0.7, which happened here, and you get every single wave PM period expanding upward in the same direction, including the cross of the 100 and the 14, it can result in a longer term trend because it implies there's very high potential energy. And if there's high potential energy and you have significant weighting, in this case bullish weighting, it results in significant trend so long as the trend can remain defined on its lower time frames. Right? Last time we got this signal on the wave PM was right here. All right? It's the exact same signal. Every value below 0.4. 14 period breaks out above all the other periods with a significant upward push. All right. So if shorter time frames can maintain the upward trend, this should run significantly. Okay. Positive weighting, high potential energy, trend on lower time frames. We have all three of those activated at this current time, and as long as we stay above this very specific pivot, that will remain the case. Okay. So there is very high profit ratios right now. Since you have macro level signals in confluence with short-term pivots, all right? If you want to enter along here, right, you can have a downside of only 3%, and your upside can just be continuous trend continuation. And you can bet as high as you want for trend continuation because you aren't defining your targets, all right? Like one of the things I get annoyed about with trading is people set flat targets regardless of conditions. All right, that is a major flaw in a lot of people's strategies because they limit their potential upside. Now, I would argue a lot of the big crypto faces would say, hey, if you don't set targets, you run yourself susceptible to losing all your gains, right? Since people are inclined to shut down any losing trades, but let their winners run, which eventually turn into losers, right? And they are correct in a sense, so long as you don't understand market condition, all right? What we're talking about is greater than that. Because if you have a pivot that accurately defines trends like we have defined here, you can stay long as you're above the pivot. And that can happen indefinitely. We could go completely parabolic here if we wanted. All right? But as long as we stay above this pivot, we can stay long. All right? And then if you really want to do short-term profit taking, you can do the 3.2 standard deviation of the longest over expanded period. So we are going to set this to 100 as well, because the 3.2 of the longest over expanded period is very consistent for, oops, did I say that correctly? Nope. That should be showing up. All right. There we go. Okay, nice. So we now have the longest over expanded period showing up. If you really, really want to take short-term targets, currently it's 8,400. You can sell that swing high, but I would be cautious. I would just attempt to stay in this trend as long as possible. And of course, if we do break support, switch it to a short, right? It may seem like I'm expressing a bias right now, but I'm just going over the bullish scenario because it is very aesthetic. And, well, people like bullish scenarios, and that's appealing. So let's go over the bearish scenario, all right? You break this support, which is going to be the 100 period. All right, here's how we're going to take short entries into the bearish scenario. If we break into the 100 period 1.25 standard deviation, we are going to look for the following signal. We are going to go to the 1 hour chart. All right, we're going to load up the 40 moving average. Why the 40? Because we want to take the 1/10th period of the longest over expanded period, and by going to a shorter time frame, the 1 hour chart, which is just 4 1 hour periods into the 4 hour chart, right? We just multiply that 10 period by 4, which gives us a result of 40. All right, so if we get the bearish activation, all we have to do is load up the 40 period on the 1 hour chart, like so. Nice. If we activate the bearish scenario by dipping farther than we currently have, we would enter shorts by waiting for the CCI roll down of the 1.25 standard deviation of the 40 period. So if price breaks down, we would wait for the swing high, right? And if this band is traveling down like here, we would enter when it re-enters that 40 period from above, right? That's how we would capture short positions, all right? So you have a way to enter a bearish scenario, and you can enter the bullish scenario right now, all right? Those are your 2 plays today. Play them well. It has been a pleasure. We'll talk to you all tomorrow at 1 p.m. MST. Have a good one.